Welcome to day number 4. It is January 7th, and today we are working on recovering a sense of play. So I want to start out with our breathing exercises. You guys, this is important. It's really going to help you over time to de-stress, to center yourself, and to get in that place of self-expression and creativity. So let's do that. If you want to close your eyes, or you don't have to, it helps me to do that so I can focus on it. So we're going to breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold, breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold, breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold, breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. Last one, breathe in, hold, breathe out, and hold. So when you're doing this, I want you to really concentrate. So if your shoulders are raised, you're holding on to stress, you're stressing breathing. This should be a natural thing. Relax your shoulders, breathe, let your stomach go out, keep your back straight. You're going to get in the greatest amount of air if you do that. So work on that, you guys. Work on it throughout the day. It really helps. They talk about counting to 10. It's partially because of the breathing and the stepping back from the situation. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So recovering a sense of play. Our quote for today is from, what was his name? Stephen and Nachmanovitch. I don't know. It's something like that. I'm terrible with names. So anyway, what it says is the most important muse of all is our own inner child. Okay. So to me, that means, when you think about your inner child, it's all of those ways that you're free to express, to say whatever you want. If you think about, I think about my grandchild. He's 2. And, actually maybe the older one, because he doesn't speak quite as much as the older one does. But I have a 5-year-old granddaughter and a 7-year-old grandson. He just turned 8. And they pretty much say what is ever on their mind. They don't hold back anything. They have no concept of mincing their words so that they're not offending anyone. So I'm not suggesting that you go out and say whatever you want, whatever comes to your mind. But there's something about being in that place of non-judgment, being able to express yourself authentically and uniquely. We all had this place way back in our childhoods where we didn't worry about what anybody thought about how we drew, or how we built a sandcastle, or how we gathered our stuffed animals together, or how we created a tent. It didn't have to be, this $5,000 playscape. It was usually a blanket that was rubber banded to a door. For me, that's what it was. I would go down to the end of my hall and I would close all of the doors in the hallway, and it created like this little cul-de-sac. And I would sit in this place and I would hang blankets from all the doorknobs with little rubber bands around them, and I'd put my stuffed animals in there, and I would just play endlessly by myself. I did a lot of coloring in coloring books, and I do recall as time was going on, and this happens to all of us, as we start receiving feedback from external sources, so like the people around us, or looking on Instagram, looking on Pinterest, seeing the beautiful things that we see that other people do, and then comparing them to what we're doing. And that's when we start loading on top of that free inner child. We start loading on all kinds of insecurities and judgment and you shoulds and you shouldn'ts, and all of these things that end up shaping who we are. So I think that to receive the benefit of that play that we had when we were children, we need to work on releasing all of those things that we've loaded on top of that inner child, that child artist, and start connecting with what was there before we put all of those other things. So the good news is that inner child, that inner artist, it is still there. It's just, it has a whole bunch of life heaped on top of it, an entire lifetime full of outward expressions coming in on us, and insecurities, and what have you. Only you can decide what those things are. And that's the bad news, is that that inner child is covered with all of those insecurities. So we need to start peeling those things back from that identity. So that's our inner identity, but it is part of who we are. So in order to express ourselves in a truly authentic way, we need to reconnect who we are now with that inner child that we once were, because that inner artist is what holds the key to our most truest expression of creativity. So the prompt today is going to be a twofold thing. I want you to think about your favorite childhood animal. It could be something that you watched a cartoon all the time. Maybe it was cat dog and you like cats and dogs, or one or the other. And in that alone, we're not going to talk about that today, but being drawn to a specific animal, I think, can kind of talk a lot about who you are. Like if you're a cat person, maybe you tend to be a little bit more aloof and standoffish. If you're a dog person, you're always looking for acclamation and acceptance, and looking for the treats, the kudos. I was really drawn to rabbits when I was young, and I think that's kind of followed me, because I'm always running ahead, and that's what rabbits do, right? They're the ones that dart out and run fast. They look really close, and then they run. So I want you to think about what your favorite childhood animal may be or may look like. And you can get a reference photo if you would like. I do have a reference photo on my phone here in front of me. and we're going to do a continuous line drawing in our journals this morning. So if you've never done a continuous line drawing, all you need is your paper, and I'm using a soft charcoal pencil here, and it is a drawing of whatever it is that you're drawing, but you're not going to lift your pencil from the paper. You are going to, you can do it slowly, you can do it quickly, whatever is most comfortable to you. It's not going to be perfect. This is a perfect opportunity for you to let go of any notion that it will be perfect. It's kind of like when we used to put those, I don't know if you've ever done this, put those paper plates on your head, and you would try to draw something on your head, and then you would look at it and go, oh my gosh, that's like the worst picture ever. But it made me laugh to look at those pictures, and it's like, wow, that's interesting. It's interesting how they turn out, but it's a way to start letting go. Okay, so we're going to do this continuous line drawing, and then the second portion of what we're going to do is we're going to fill the inside of this line drawing with all of those things that we've been heaping on that inner artist, all of that, the critical nature of who that inner being is that we need to reconnect with. So we want to put down our insecurities and our judgments and our you shoulds and you shouldn'ts and all of these things, and we're going to fill our animal up with all of those words. And then, and I'll tell you at the end of what we're doing, when we go through this page, I'll tell you what we're going to do. And we're going to totally transform that line drawing. So bear with me as I move you guys down to my tabletop here. And let's see, whoops. All right, so I'm going to, you know what, I'm going to work on this page. I thought I was going to work here, but I think this is awesome. I'm going to work on this one. All right, and I have my reference photo in front of me just so that I can keep an eye on it. And when you're working, excuse me, in a continuous line drawing, maybe we can get a little bit more light on this subject here. No, I'm not sure that really works. I want you to be able to see what's going on. Okay. What we're going to do is we're not going to hold the pencil like we're writing a book or writing a letter. We're going to hold our pencil towards the end, and this is going to give us the greatest movement and the greatest flow, okay? And let's see. Just adjusting the light a little bit more there. And I want to fill a lot of my page, and I'm using this vintage ledger paper that I had put into my mixed paper journal packet here. Okay, and you can start wherever you like on your drawing, and you're just going to follow the outside lines. And again, we are not worrying anything about perfection because it is not going to be perfect. Shoulders a little bit wide, but that's okay. working about that. We have the, we're worrying about that. We have the bottom of his legs here. And I'm not going to worry about any of the details either, because we're going to be filling this with words. So, and that is the end. So I didn't lift my pencil, I just kept drawing. It is not a perfect, I am looking at the page, so it's probably going to be better than if it were on my head and I were drawing it. If you want to draw it on your head, rock out. And I'm just going to start filling him with some words. So, insecure. I had lots of ideas that I was ugly and that my the things that I created were ugly, imperfect. I took on perfection at a very young age. I would start pages in my coloring book, and when they did not look like I thought they needed to, I would just rip them out, or I would turn the page and go to a different one. I was shy. I felt like I wasn't popular. I carry a lot of baggage from those days. So I want you to fill up the whole thing, and I'll have to sit here and think about all of those things that I want to say. You can write them really big. Maybe you only have a few. Okay, I thought that I never considered myself to be smart. I thought people didn't like me. I still think that now and then. And I'm just going to fill my entire rabbit up with that. And then what I want you to do is I want you to take a blue or a green or a very calming kind of a color. Oof. And I like to use fluid acrylics. You can use really whatever you like. You could even use colored pencils if you want, but I'm just going to put a little bit on here. And I have a blue and a yellow. I don't have any greens. I'm not really sure why that is, but I never purchase greens. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because, oh, that brush totally broke. I know that I can make a green, so I'm just going to do that. And I'm going to fill in my rabbit with all of this paint. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to think about all of those things that I'm basically telling myself I'm not going to accept. I'm not going to accept this. I'm releasing my inner child from allowing these things to define who I am. Okay, and this is a very symbolic act. But as you paint over those words, okay, so apparently I need to glue that. As you paint over these words, think about maybe the things that you would like to replace them with, things that you would like to be identified by. Maybe they're exactly the opposite of the words that you wrote there. And I'm going to leave that for today. That is my journal page. I don't need to really think about or put anything else on there that that defines what today was about, except that I could write in here, recovering a sense of play. And as I always do, I'm going to date. I have like a little date stamp here, and I am going to date this page or this portion of it. And I think tomorrow we're going to finish this page with what we're doing then. So I hope to see you then. Think about your animal. You might even want to fill your picture, your animal, with words that you believe you have in common with that particular animal. So maybe I could have put in always rushing ahead, or not thinking before I leap, or I dart back and forth without really considering where I'm going, and I end up getting caught in places that I don't want to be. So these are all like attributes of this rabbit that I kind of see that I have in common with it. So that is it. This is simple stuff, you guys, but very deep. So it's going to take that inner working of really thinking about these things, and just doing the simple work of creating this today. So I hope you guys have an amazing day, and that you start thinking about all of those ways you can recover your sense of play.